Hello, this lecture is focusing on revision strategies for clarifying your organization, specifically in making sure your thesis and topic sentences are concrete and clear so that your audience doesn't become confused. So, in terms of strategies for connecting your thesis and topic sentences, there are a number of things that we can do, especially because if we are limited in time or we want to be really effective in terms of the changes we make, making changes to our thesis topic sentences can go a long way, especially in terms of making all of your points as explicit as possible so that they better guide readers. And so that as you get into your examples, as you get into your discussions, readers know exactly what they should be focusing on, what you're explaining, and what you're emphasizing. So, the number one revision strategy would be focusing on this unification, specifically in going through a few steps. So, for the first step, you would want to isolate your thesis and topic sentences. So, this could be on a separate sheet of paper, writing them out, or you could just put them in a separate document on your computer if you prefer that way. So, the reason that we want to look at the thesis and topic sentences separate is because we really want to make sure that they are clear and that the connection between each of them is as explicit as possible without your evidence or without your explanations. So, by looking at them separate, we can really see the language that you're using in your thesis and your topic sentences to see if the language is connecting properly or if it's not. So, looking at them separately, we can assess them, we can change the wording to make them more direct, make it very clear how they work together, which should go a long way in showing and clarifying the overall organization of your paper. So, for an example, we have the original versions of the thesis and topic sentences for a personal statement essay. So, this is a type of argument in which the writer is arguing or presenting themselves in order to show whether they are the best candidate for a position or acceptance into a school. So, this specific example is to apply to a physical therapy graduate program. So the entire purpose is to show why she is applying, why she wants to become a physical therapist. So we have it isolated here, and we can see the thesis, the topic sentences. They're in the order in which they're presented in the paper. So first, when we're assessing this, we want to look at that thesis. So reading the thesis for this example, it states, "At that point, I realized that if I could not feel comfortable with this little chemical, I would not enjoy being in the laboratory as a career." So if we think of this sentence, it leaves a lot of questions. So if we think about a career, well, if she doesn't want to be in the laboratory for a career, well, what does she want? So it's not even addressing what she wants now or what she's writing this paper for. And of course, part of that is because it's saying at that point. So that is a prepositional phrase that's introducing the context for the sentence, and that's indicating that this is specifically a narrative statement, that this author is going in chronological order instead of presenting an argument, right? So we would want to make sure that we're presenting an argument, and as we look at the topic sentences, we can see other issues. So that first topic sentence reads, "After this discovery, I switched my major to kinesiology, which I would later find out would be one of the best decisions of my life." So again, we start with an introductory phrase, this one being a dependent phrase. So it's again establishing the timeline, and we're getting into that major, but it's leaving a lot of questions, right? So why is it the best decision of this person's life? Why was that valuable? So it's really not illustrating what is going on with that person, it's just stating what happened. So if we're looking at this again, if we compare that with the thesis statement, they're not connecting except for in chronological order, but other than that, the topics are completely different. Considering topic sentence number 2, that one reads, "During my senior year at SDSU, I started a 6-month internship with Rady's Children's Hospital." in San Diego, California, in their physical therapy department. So this again starts with an introductory phrase, this being a dependent phrase again. So it's following a timeline. And if we think about it, it leaves questions. So I started a 6-month internship. So what did she do in this internship? Why is this internship important and valuable for this person? So there are a lot of unended questions that would need to be revised. And finally, our third topic sentence reads, similar to many other physical therapy applicants, I considered looking into the physician assistant and doctor part of healthcare careers. So here, we're getting into physical therapy, but it's not really answering that question as, well, why physical therapy over being a physician assistant or a doctor within healthcare careers. So it's leaving questions unanswered instead of indicating what the specific reason is, which is what we would ideally want in that topic sentence. And when we're looking at the thesis and those 3 topic sentences together, we can note how all of them begin with dependent phrases or clauses. All of them are centered on different subjects. So the first one is centered on why not a laboratory career. The second one on kinesiology. The third one on an internship. And a fourth one on other healthcare careers. So we know we need to unify this. It needs to be a central argument, and we need to make changes, essentially, and to make it a lot more concrete. So now looking at the revised version of the same argument, the same statement and purpose, which is centering on why this writer wants to be a physical therapist and should be accepted into this program, we have very different examples in terms of our thesis statement and our different topic sentences. So looking first at the thesis statement, the thesis states, I want to be a physical therapist because I want to help others, participate in the continuum of care, and have a career that I am passionate about. So this is very different because, of course, we're starting with an I statement. So she's putting her desires, her want at the forefront instead of beginning with a introductory phrase. So it is a statement. It's no longer narrating a specific experience. And of course, what's really notable is it's not just saying what she wants in connection with becoming a physical therapist, but it's introducing the why. So this is really important because it guides readers into how she's going to be explaining this desire, how she's going to be illustrating that she knows specifically about this career. So we have that because I want to help others, participate in continuum of care, and have a career that I am passionate about. So we have 3 different reasons here. So as readers look towards the body paragraphs and the topic sentences, they're going to look and identify where she explains those reasons and illustrates those reasons more specifically. Looking at that first topic sentence example, we have, I have always been an altruistic person and have been driven to help others in my life. So again, it's presenting a statement about this person with having I as the subject of the sentence and looking at what she's saying about herself, being an altruistic person and driven to help others. It's connecting directly to that first reason that was introduced in the thesis statement, which is really showing that connection, showing how it's building into the topic sentences, and she's addressing them specifically. Looking at the second topic sentence, which reads, one of the main reasons that I want to be a physical therapist is to be a key factor in the rehabilitation process. So the language here is centered on one. So one of the main reasons, this is implying that she has many reasons. So it's showing that she has thought about this and could name more given the time. But more specifically, if we think about that ending, wanting to be a key factor in the rehabilitation process, that is connecting to the thesis again when it's talking about the continuum of care. So in terms of as patients, right, there are multiple ways that you're treated and receive care from healthcare professionals. So she's specifying like which element of that process she wants to be involved in. Our third topic sentence begins with over the past year, I have worked with many great physical therapists at an outpatient clinic, physiotherapy associates in San Diego. So, of the different examples we have here, this is the only one that begins with an introductory phrase, so over the past year. So, this being the only one is helping to avoid this whole thing coming up and being narrative. And of course, it's really specifying the specific experiences that she's going to note within this paragraph. So it's connecting again to that thesis by, in this case, mentioning physical therapists. So it's still connecting to the thesis statement like we like. And our final topic sentence is all of these experiences have taught me how PT is unique among the healthcare professionals. So if we think about this in comparison to the first one, instead of prioritizing healthcare professions that could have been alternatives, which she did in the original version, she is now emphasizing how physical therapy is unique to her, so how it stands out in terms of her mind and why she's driven towards this. So again, it's connecting to that topic sentence and that thesis statement in terms of emphasizing physical therapy. And of course, if she is viewing it as unique, she must be passionate about it. So we can see how once we revise our thesis and topic sentences, we're looking for language to be repeated to really emphasize that connection and clarify how every paragraph is building to the overall meaning that was indicated and introduced within the thesis statement. Other strategies that we have to really clarify the subject of your paper revolves around really reiterating that topic. So since we are talking about visual arguments, so either one of your peers, which you're analyzing, or informing an audience about how visual arguments work to manipulate viewers, we want to emphasize that. And the easiest way that we can do it and make it very clear that that's what we're focusing on is by referencing visual arguments occasionally to reinforce this discussion. So really, if we're thinking about that, making sure that visual arguments or the specific visual argument you're analyzing is always the subject of your thesis and the subjects of your topic sentence as well. And then as you're presenting examples and discussing them, you're reconnecting it to that subject by referencing it occasionally or referring to it. Another strategy to really help this is to really ensure that you're explaining your point and discussing each example fully, which is to write in the third person. So this takes away that I or all of the first person pronouns and makes your essay more objective, so less opinion based. So this has a lot of benefits because when you remove I, the first person pronoun, you won't be using yourself as the subject, and that means that you'll be forced to just focus on the conversation that is at hand. And of course, it increases your overall credibility because you're not just presenting what you think or what you feel about something, but you're taking the time to really inform your audience about it. And that can go a long way into why they would trust you. And finally, as we're working through this revision process, we want to make sure to proofread your paper thoroughly, specifically for grammatical errors that can leave a bad impression or confuse readers. So you really want to be careful in terms of making sure we're using complete sentences and not using any fragments or run-on sentences. And of course, using commas and semicolons properly to really punctuate the different ideas and make it as easy to follow as possible.